Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Three, two, one.
The self-proclaimed world centre of racing, Daytona has been a fixture at the heart of stock racing calendar since the advent of NASCAR. And well, it's grown into a multi-use oval and road course catering for more than 100,000 fans. And it hosts the most important season openers in stock cars, sports cars and bike racing. But of course, it's hosting the opening round of arguably the best truck series on iRacing. The ARL Truck Series returns for Season 2. And what way to kickstart the season here at Daytona. I'm Tim Cox. I'm joined by Sam Fitzpatrick. We're going to be here for the entirety of the season as we take in Daytona, Michigan, Bristol, Talladega, Charlotte, Road America, Phoenix, Watkins Glen. Before we round things out at the absolutely classic and iconic Indy Oval Circuit. Sam, well, we're here, and I can't wait for this one to begin at all.
Yeah, it's going to be some season coming up for us this championship. We've got a new format, we've got showdown rounds, we've got so many competitive drivers. Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun, and of course we had to start at Daytona. Obviously, it's one of the best, or at least one of the most entertaining races we have all season long, and so an opportunity for anyone to win. We always say this at the Super Speedways. We've got Talladega coming up as well later on in the season. Anyone can win this race, and well, that's part of the reason why we love this racing so much.
Exactly, and if you're thinking, oh, we should have to join this, we're still open for entries for this season. There'll be a link in the chat shortly on how you can join the fun and the action out on track, or by heading across to apexracingleague.com. Find out more information about the series. Now, before we get things underway, practice is just about coming to an end before we head across into qualifying. Mention to one of our sponsors for this series, Virtual Racing School. If you're looking to improve your on-track performance, they have 50+ data packs for road and oval racing, setups, track guides, data analysis software, and one-on-one coaching. Make sure you check them out. So we're just coming right to the end now, and we'll be crossing to qualifying for. Then we head across into, well, it's going to be an absolute cracking 54 laps of high-speed action, where you don't really have to lift off at all, do you, Sam, around here? There's going to be, I'm sure, plenty of bump drafting going on.
Yes, it's all about the tactics when it comes to a race like this, and it's important to note that really the first 40, heck, maybe even the first 50 laps, that's just a warm-up. It's survival. We do have a faster pair for each of the drivers, and so the vast majority should be in play come the end. But there's no point in pushing it at the start. If anything, you don't want to be leading. You want to get that draft. You want to be opening up that that fuel as much as you possibly can. I think we're expecting at least 2 stops, albeit with the cautions. Obviously, that's going to play a part as well this evening. And so this is almost like an endurance race in terms of the tactics that you got to use. It really doesn't matter what the standings are at lap 30. It only matters what the standings are on the very final lap of the race.
It's a nice, cool, well, warm evening here at Daytona. We've got 27 degrees Celsius track temperatures for you, and the same in ambient. Sam, I mean, that's probably almost borderline ideal on ideal conditions. Maybe a little bit on the slightly toastier side, and start to encroach onto those slightly more slippery track surfaces where it gets up to the really high temperatures. But I'm sure it's not going to affect things too much, as we're going to see plenty of action, like you see on the screen right now, plenty of pack racing. And, well, Sam, I think it's definitely going to, just these conditions, it's going to invoke great racing. Well, I was about to say great racing like this. Although I'm sure we're going to probably see a couple of incidents like this throughout the race. It's just what happens in ovals.
Yes, that's going to be the case. This is just practice, guys. If you haven't joined halfway through the race. And so these guys are just testing the limits at the moment. They did have a couple of practice sessions as well, a couple of test races earlier on in the week to get familiar with one another, but certainly not with as many drivers as what we're going to have tonight, which should be 25 drivers, which should be a lot of fun. A quick rundown, though, of the new format. We did have a video posted. You can check it out on the ApexRacingLeague.com website, where I went through in our Apex Racing TV studio about the format for this season. But we've got a new format. We've got a showdown format where, after the first 6 rounds of the championship, the top 8 drivers on points are reset to 1,000 points. Plus any bonus points as well that they picked up for podiums, race wins, and such. And then the points are pretty much reset, and it's just a 3-race shootouts to the end of the championship. So this should be really good fun. Really should open up the competitiveness of the series. You do just get into those showdown spots based on points. It's not down to race wins. In real life, of course, if you get a race win, then you book yourself into the showdown. In this series, it's all about the points, so you need that consistency. No drop scores. And Tim, I think despite us not having Pro and Am classes this season, I think it's still more competitive for anyone, because really anyone can get into that top 8. I mean, when I raced in this series, I had so few clean races. I don't mean by being taken out. I don't think I was taken out at all. I think I was just constantly making mistakes, whether that be on pit road, whether that just be, you know, dumb strategy or whatever. If you have a driver who's maybe a bit off the pace, but they, you know, nail that stuff, they could honestly get into that top 8. And once you get into the top 8, I mean, anyone can win going into the final 3 rounds, especially with the tracks that we've got on that roster.
For me, it's where it's going to get really interesting is the move away from ovals later in the season, Sam, when we head to Road America for round 6. That is on the 16th of October, and also Watkins Glen on the 13th as well. It's definitely going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons for a few of the drivers. Yeah, it's a nice mix that we got this season. Got a couple of super speedways, and then we got those couple of road circuits as well that we are visiting, and so should be a good one, as the drivers are just going out now for qualifying. They've got 5 minutes and 4 laps. I think they're not going to be able to set any more laps than that. I mean, they are limited, but I mean, in terms of the time, they wouldn't be able to set any more laps than that anyway. As I think a few of the guys are just shotsing out to the pit lane now. Will be fairly quick, as in fact we have all the drivers out on second, so they'll be able to get themselves a little bit of a draft on one another in this session. And Sam, that draft you just mentioned about there in qualifying, of course it's an open qualifying session, so all the drivers out on track. How crucial is that and positioning yourself to be in the right place at the right time?
Oh, it's going to be absolutely pivotal, at least around a circuit like this when it's getting so high speed. The draft is so important. And of course, if you can get some teammates as well in play, then that could be a huge advantage. And of course, we've got a very good field of Alcantech NHR drivers out on circuit for this meeting. And they will potentially have quite an advantage come a session like this. I remember when we used to broadcast the BSI MX5 series, and it was very much the same, where you had teams really working together as much as possible to get up the order. And I think that's going to be the case here. Albeit, what I would say, I don't think qualifying matters too much. I think you can start from last, and you've got time to make your way up to first within the 54 laps.
Just see a few of the drivers out on track, just out onto their first flying laps right now. The first one's going to be across the line will be Fierce Racing Team's Sariano. It's interesting to see how he gets some times on the board, and we get underway for the first qualification of the season. And who's going to claim that first pole? Let's find out together. Well, Hutchinson, that's the initial benchmark, 50.6, immediately beat by Nevery and Sticks, who pretty much go identical times, 102nd between those two right now. The 50 dead, and question is, who's going to be the first driver to get inside those 49s? As you see, the trains forming out on track, everyone pushing each other along, trying to get as high up in qualifying as they possibly can. Six Miller getting a time in there, but it's, I tell you what, Sam, nobody's quite made it yet into that 40. Well, there you go. I say about 49s. Goodness, son, look at that. 48.69, Sam. Wow.
Yeah, that is that's pretty mega. That is a long way clear. He must have got an absolutely perfect draft on the rest of the field. Is anyone going to be able to improve? We've got this bunch of cars also crossing the line. Any improvements amongst the bunch of them? I think a couple of drivers may have gone a bit faster, but certainly Styx stayed in the same position as he was previously. And now, can any of these guys do anything? Matt Campbell with a very nice draft to the back, because they can't afford to bump draft. Otherwise, they'll get a 1x, unless you make a very small contact. These cars will, or these guys will know this a little bit better than I do. And once again, we have another little bit of a change, as the drivers, I think the majority of them still have 2 more laps to go. So I think we will use all of this qualifying session. I believe once we get down to the 1 minute 20, that will be it for the drivers. I'm not sure if they will be able to complete the laps, but we will wait and see.
Left in qualifying, just coming up to a minute left on the clock, 60 seconds, all that remains here at Daytona. And who's going to get that first pole position in the season, Capel? Well, knocking on the doors of 47s right now. 48.19 is the provisional pole time from the Cheshire driver. And it's all about the Chevrolets here. They're in the first top 8. The highest Toyota is 9th place. The Englishman Crouch. No Fords here today. This is why you not have the quintessential American truck, the F-150, but it's going to be interesting to see if anyone can improve in these latter stages. 25 seconds left in qualifying. Letting Aaron Crouch there into the pits. Soriano also into the pits, so they're not going to...
Yeah, no improvements for them, as Pascal Styx has a big slide on the inside of the circuit there. That will be his qualifying very much compromised, as the rest of the pack of cars stream straight past. I think they are going to be able to complete these lap times. So here comes a couple more times for the driver, Spitzmüller across the line. He was not able to improve. Can Kapal, currently in pole position, could go even further ahead, or will someone else from this bunch be able to put themselves right on the front row of the grids? Again, seemingly no improvements across the line for those drivers.
Looks like everyone's pretty much topped out here, haven't they? It's, I'll tell you what, it's fast, furious. We knew it would be. Drivers topping out at over 300 kilometers an hour. That's over 180 miles an hour around Daytona. Foot flat to the floor for the entirety That's where we're not far away now from heading across into a race of 54 laps, and we get to find out who's going to clinch that first victory of the season. It's well into overtime in qualifying, and I think that's going to be near as damn it. Everyone done and dusted. Yes, it is as well. Kabab just about got across the line, but couldn't quite get the lap completed just in time. So nothing for him. But let's move across into the race session now. Let's take a little look through the grid, and I'll tell you what, it is absolutely locked out at the sharp end by the Alcantech guys, occupying the first 7 positions. Wow, they're all in Chevrolets, and Chevrolet make up the top 8. We have got Kapal taking the first pole position this season, with the Swede Solander joining him on the front row. It's an all-Swedish row with Gunnarsson and Blix. Schnabel, he's got solo for company, and then Halfidarson and Letner make up the 4th row of the grid. Crouch has Nevery for company on the 5th row and rounding out your top 10. And it's Andrew Roos and Matt Campbell, the Canadian. Interested to see how he gets on. And then it's pretty much into an absolute gaggle of Toyotas, with Blakesley and Gladden making up the first all-Toyota row, and second and third of the Toyotas, with of course Crouch being the top Toyota qualifier. Then moving down through the field, we have got Strix and Hutchinson taking up to 16th place, with Kittelman and Spitz-Muller. Atkinson and Brown rounding out your top 20, with Mingote and Iglid. Sariano and Redford making up your last complete row. We have Trevor McManus from India Autosport rounding out your 25 car grid. Well, I say car, 25 truck grid here at Daytona for the season opener. I'll tell you what, it's going to be an absolute barnstoner indeed. As everyone just forming up on pit row, of course, the traditional rolling start that you always get in North American racing. The pace car ready for everyone to take to the grid behind them before we get underway. And here come the lights. I'm going to be pulling off any second into, well, what's going to be some entertaining, but a little bit of the unknown in some ways for some of these drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of these drivers will have a lot of over experience, some of them a little bit less. And of course, many of these drivers are returning from previous seasons as well. Great to see the likes of Andrew Roos back into the championship. He'll be extremely dangerous, and of course, he won the Xfinity series that we hosted in the B-class spec drivers or cars, apologies, and also yeah, our few other drivers as well. Norbert Leitner, of course, who won the truck series when we hosted that about a year ago. They will also be very dangerous out on circuit. But yeah, so many new drivers, and of course those Alcantech drivers, so many new guys around there. I don't think really any of them took part in the last season of the ovals that we did, and so a real opportunity for them to make an impression out here.
And, well, we're just heading out down the back straight right now. Let's have a mention to another of our sponsors for this series, Apex Racing Academy. They have 29 data packs, setups, track guides, integration with VRS, Virtual Racing School, one of our kind sponsors, weekly group coaching sessions, and much, much more. You make sure you check those guys out. As everyone just starting to bunch up a bit now. The anticipation building, the nerves starting to build, as we get ready to go racing of what's going to be an absolute cracker of a season. Everyone lined up behind the pace car. Just going to pull in, the lights are out on it. And then we're going to get ready to go racing here at Daytona. Let's get ready for the first time this season to go racing, as we are green, green, green at Daytona. As everyone moving away relatively easily so far, and pretty much remaining as they started. Two solid lines emerging, no one wanting to go early. As we move around turns 1 and 2, and out onto the back straight. Sam, I tell you what, Blakesley's already, he's had a cracking start. Oh, he's dropped back from the order a little bit. He had made up 2 places. He's dropped down a few. Whether something's happened to him, he's running down on the apron there, Sam.
Yeah, he's really lost his momentum. He needs to make sure that he doesn't lose contact with the rest of the pack. But that is not the start that he needed. I wonder if he just got a little bit of a nudge from behind, got under the apron, and that will compromise him in these early stages. But of course, only a matter of time till there's a caution. We are going to see at least one this season, or at least in this race. I think in the 12 races we've hosted in ARL Ovals, only one of them, Charlotte's, back in the Truck Series, we went green all the way through. So I expect some sort of action later on, but fairly patient play at the moment for most of the drivers. A little bit of bump drafting down the field, but not much of an appetite to go 3 wide as it stands.
Something's happened to Trevor McManus. He's headed into the pits incredibly early on. As I'll tell you what, Strix is moving his way through the pack in these early stages. He's up 4 places. Likewise, Iglid, he's up 7. It's the Scandinavian in the Toyota. Making good progress, but it's all about Chevrolet here today. They are locking out the top 9 positions as Gladden's just dropped back. Well, she's gained a few in these early stages. It's going to Blakesley just dropping those positions. That's dismissed him from the lead of all the Toyotas. They're pretty much ringing up the rear. But it's all about Alcantech right now. They're occupying the top 6. With Halfordson just dropping down a place. Ruse moving up 1 for wannabe SRT. Into 7 in that 48. I'll tell you what, Sam, it's for all these drivers right now, I think it's just all about just playing it safe and not making anything too rash and brave.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and I'm sure a few of these drivers, at least at the back of the train, will literally just have the attitude of, I'm not getting involved. Just wait at the back, single file, and they'll be not even concentrating on driving. Let's face it, it's easy flat round this circuit. And so they will just be heads up driving, looking out for any incidents ahead, and making sure that they get out of that mess if they do. McManus just coming out of the pit lane right now. Hopefully he will lift off and let all these guys past. He is now a lap down a bit. We do have the Lucky Dog rule enabled, so if there was a caution right now, he would get that lap back. However, he's actually 2 laps back, so he'd get 1 of the laps back. So he'd need 2 cautions basically to bring himself back into play. I'm not sure what happened to McManus at the start. Maybe it was a stop-go penalty for him for jumping the start in some way. That can happen with the ovals if you overtake the driver directly in front of you in sort of your aisle of the circuit. And so that could have been it, albeit that seems like a very big penalty. So huge shame for him right there. But yeah, if we do have a couple of cautions, he could get himself back into contention.
I mean, those cautions, they do play such a large part, don't they, Sam? Because it just shakes things up, especially in terms of that strategy element. So we're just right on board with Andrew Roos right now in the Chevrolet in that 48 machine. Because it's all about, you know, do you take tyres, don't you? Do you just go for maybe the right side? Especially here at Daytona, probably more applicable, aren't they, really, than going for all 4?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, some of these drivers just, well, everyone will take tyres at some point, I think, during this race. I mean, you won't be able to have that car underneath you, and eventually, you know, it is just going to be worth it. But yeah, it is going to be a factor that these drivers are going to have to think about. Going to be more pressing later on in the season, where of course those tyre decisions, especially with 10 laps to go, can be so important, where you can't really make a perfect call every time. It sort of depends on what your rivals do and how much traffic you end up being in, but not quite as pivotal in this race. As we kind of see what's going on with Andrew Reeson, pretty much from what we were expecting. So he's just leaving a gap to the car ahead. He's not bump drafting. He doesn't care about bump drafting. He's been in this series for a while. He's done, I think, every single oval race we've done in ARL. I think that's 12 races that he's taken part in. He's just going to lift off. He's just going to keep himself into play. And, well, this is exactly where he wants to be right now.
I'll tell you what, this track, Daytona, took 15 months to build. Ground broke here in November 1957 and opened for business all the way back in February of 1959 and really cemented itself into not just North American racing, but also it's transcended across world motorsport and sport in general. It's one of the... Oh, that is McManus.
This was on lap one. So yeah, he has come, so he did come to a stop, but I'm not sure why. He didn't blow the engine, did he? That seemed very quiet.
No, but there would have been a big puff of... Well, there would have been a big puff of smoke out the back, Sam, and it's like but like you say, it's like he's got the clutch pulled in.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with that one. That's
Strange one.
That's the only driver who we kind of have out to play as it stands.
Yeah, everyone else still in these long, long lines, which are starting to move away a little bit from two lines, especially at the rear, where they're starting to line up a little bit more. But I'll tell you what, Big Egglid, he's had an absolute flyer. He's made up, well, 8 positions so far, currently in 14th in that 66 truck. You make him out in the midfield here. Here he is right now. It's, I tell you what, he's just been really tactful and just gently made his way through and taken opportunities, maybe just switching around from the high and the low lines as he's edged forward, taking those gaps to get himself promoted. But he is hands down the biggest climber. So I tell you what, he's up into 11th now. Got the 27 of Matt Campbell in the Canadian just to his left-hand side. That is the Toyota of Gladden in front of him, Vulcan Sim Racing, who's your second highest climber. He's up 5 places so far, into 9th in the 27 machine. But other than that, I tell you what, you can just see, I tell you what, Sam, that higher line right now, it seems to be making a bit more progress through the midfield compared to the guys on the low side.
Yeah, I think you might be right on that one, and yeah, it might change as the race goes on. Of course, iRacing, we give them some sticks sometimes, but I do think one of the best elements, of course, is how the track evolves, and it's really specifically designed for the oval racing. It's less prominent for road. Of course, the track kind of rubbers in, but of course on an oval it gets slick, and so actually you sort of want to get off the rubber at times, or at least at a certain point. And even with these super speedways, that's still going to play a little bit of a part, especially when you get on the older tyres. You're going to slide about a bit more, and the judge will try to be warning against that one. We've still got an Alcantech 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at the moment, and that I think is part of the reason we have to say why this race has been quite so calm so far, because they are very happy with their positions and everyone else is just rooted in behind. But it's very early stages. Should take about an hour, this race, depending on how many cautions we have. Of course, 50-second lap time, 54 laps. So if we go green to the end, which, whilst it looks very calm right now, I still am sceptical of that being the case. So it should be over in about 45 minutes, but, you know, we're expecting, I think, 3 cautions. Sometimes we place bets on this stuff. I think being round 1, it's a little bit tricky to call. Albeit, you know, you sort of expect lots of cautions here at at Daytona. But I think everyone sort of knows the risk of cautions, and so that sort of decreases it because they're that little bit more cautious. I think around a circuit where you're going to have your guard down a little bit more, that's when we see the chaos.
On to lap 12. Capel, Leeson, Solander, Gunnarsson, Faird, Blix, Schnabel, Solo, Alfredson, Ruse, Gladden, Campbell running at your top 10. There's Iglid, Crouch, Brown, Strix, Hutchinson, Nefri, Atkinson, Kisselman, Mignot, and Spitzmuller taking up to 20. Then Redford, Littner, Blakesy, who had that, both Littner and Blakesy losing a lot of places early on. They're down 14 and 10, respectively. Sariano, he is bringing up last car on the lead lap and still amongst this pack. Manus, of course, we saw that replay earlier with that slightly unique incident. Not too sure on exactly what happened to him. This is Norbert Leitner in 29 Chevrolet, electing just to stick on that low side, Sam. I mean, if you were him, would you elect maybe just to, you know, utilise that draft and sort of pull yourself along and move up to that right, high side line where it seems to be, like saying earlier, there's just, there's potentially a bit of a place to be gained there.
Yeah, I think Leitner's sort of being quite passive himself as well here, and maybe the outside line would be a little bit better in order to, maybe give himself a little bit more visibility ahead of him. However, I think seeing that car ahead of him, Mark Redford, who's also very experienced, I think has won a race in this series in the past at Redford. Honestly, one of my favourites for the championship. He's very experienced, one of the most experienced drivers out on circuit when it comes to the truck machines. I think the only reason why he's down low right now is because, Redford's giving him that tow from down low. Whereas, if he was up high, then he'd be having to punch his own hole into the air. So also slightly shorter route, so you can save a little bit of fuel. I'm not sure how marginal it's going to be for these drivers, whether maybe a one stop is going to be close for these guys. But Leitner, he's not even on the timing board right now. It's a little bit like the UK and Eurovision. We're not even on the board, but he might get back up there, unlike UK in the Eurovision.
Well,
so watch out.
You say that, Sam. You say that. We did come second, of course, behind Ukraine, which arguably, I think, everything that's happened in the world right now, probably rightfully, taking the victory, especially when it came to the fan vote. But, I mean, essentially to be best of the rest, I think, considering everything that's going on in the world right now, that is a, cracking result after so much misery that we've suffered in Eurovision. We're finishing with nil points, no points, so many times. And, I mean, of course, with this being the start of the new season, anything can happen, Sam. I mean, I think anything will happen. We'll see it a few times this season, and Redford definitely not down and out, and carrying, the spirit of the Brit. We love a good underdog as well. Stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened indeed. Onto lap 15. Everything still remaining calm. Here from Daytona. Everyone pretty much remaining static. Nobody taking any chances. It's all calm down here. But there's a gaggle of Toyotas starting to form. A pack of them. Gladden, Kraut, Strix and Eglid occupying 10th through to 13th right now, who are starting to make a bit of progress on the Chevrolets, who were occupying the top 9. Gladden's made his way past Campbell into 9th. And they're starting to chop and change around a little bit in that midfield. Some drivers starting to make a bit of progress. However, the bulk of them just biding their time in these early stages and waiting for the right moment to strike. We've still got a long way to go. We're only on 17 out of 54. Half race distance will be lap 27, so another 10 laps to go until then. I'll tell you what, Daytona, it measures nearly 1 mile, and developers had to take into account the curvature of the earth when they were building this track. Did you know that one, Sam? I know you live a good racetrack fact.
I did not know that one, actually. That is pretty mad. I've never been to an oval, of course. Anyway, Americans who are watching along, we did have one oval. It was called Rockingham, and not the one that you have over in the States. But it shut down recently, and so we don't have places like this, and so it's very tricky for us to kind of get the scale of these places, because Bristol, when you drive it, obviously seems tiny, but I've seen images from Bristol, and obviously it's like bigger than Wembley, and that's like the biggest stadium we have in the UK. I mean, it's like 130,000 seats, I think, at Bristol. It's absolutely mega. I cannot imagine what it's like to visit here or Talladega. Let us know if you have visited either circuit in the chats, because it's pretty mega. And I think when you're racing around at 230 miles an hour, Tim, you don't quite appreciate just how large these circuits are.
I tell you what, Sam, I'm looking forward to us going to Bristol in 2 weeks' time, because for me, it's just, I mean, it's an oval track inside literally a stadium, seating the whole way around. You get great through the track wherever you sit. It's on my bucket list to go there. I had the pleasure going to Le Mans for the 24 this year, and I've really got a taste for live motor racing. Of course, you don't really, especially Le Mans 24 with that massive track they have, you don't really get a true sense of what's actually happening out there, but it's just the visceral sound and the noise. And I found that actually the deep rumble of the LMP3, I hope we get it into iRacing, because I tell you what, the sound that that thing makes, it just, you can feel it reverberating against your chest. It's just such a deep, dirty, growly V8. It's absolutely epic and such a visceral experience. But I tell you what, Sam, just to give some sort of essence on the side of, you know, the size of these places. And here at Daytona, they have 17 escalators, so elevators, and 40 escalators, which is the most in the US for an outdoor sports stadium for escalators.
My escalator fact is that I think in Wyoming they only have 3 escalators in the entire state. So, I mean, imagine a bunch of Wyomings in Daytona. That's you know, the comparison that we can make. That's pretty crazy, actually, Tim. I'm liking these stats,
and if you'd like to hear more elevator and escalator stats, make sure you tune in next week here at Apex Racing TV. We'll be back for more fun and games. But I tell you what, Steve Brown, he's just dropped off the back of the pack. Sam, had a bit of a twitch, I think, and actually he's had a rub with the wall, hasn't he? Look.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what happened then to Brown. Ah, here we go.
Oh, he's already skimming the wall there, and this is the danger that he's now in, Sam, because he has dropped off that draft train, and he finds himself, well, 5.5 seconds behind, but that gap, literally, I'm just watching the temps grow, it's up to 6 seconds already. The gap 6.2 seconds, 6.3 seconds, 6.4 seconds. And that's the danger of just dropping out of this draft train, Sam.
Yeah, I think we see it there. Oh, there's some context as well. That was Mark Hutchinson, who I think was on the way through. I think that's probably just a lack of concentration there. I mean, I don't want to judge to conclusions too quick, because I didn't get a properly good look at that one. But at least to me, it looked like to me, you kind of just, you know, just the wall grew a hand and it kind of just grabbed the car and dragged it out. And that's the type of mistakes that you get around here, you know, if you're not careful. You get into such a rhythm, you're not even thinking about driving. And now he needs a caution. And again, and I'm risking of making myself appear like a fool, there will be a caution. But he is so slow right now. For a reference, his lap time on that last time round was a 54.6. Solander, a 50.4. I think it might even be worth him just coming in now, to be honest, getting that damage fixed, use his fast repair. Otherwise, he might find himself a lap or two down by the time that the caution does actually arrive.
Oh, this is the danger, isn't it, Sam, as well? Because obviously he's fallen out of that draft train, but also he's got damage, so that's going to affect his top speed as well, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's going to be the thing that absolutely kills him out there. And so, yeah, it's a little bit of a tricky one, because you sort of think, okay, I'll just hang it out for a bit, you know, I'll just hang it out for a few more laps, and once he's done a couple of laps here, you'll be thinking, oh, well, I've done a few laps now, so I don't want to come to the pits. And sometimes you just got to, you know, cut your losses, come into the pits, you'll go a lap down, but at least you'll be in line for the lucky dog, and you'll have a clean car out of the circuit. So I do think that's something that he should certainly be considering. We are getting to the territory now where maybe the drivers might just be able to do a one stop. I'm not entirely sure how far the fuel will go, but I think it should just be a one stop. So once we get beyond halfway, obviously that will become possible. And once we get beyond halfway, or once the fuel window opens, we might see a few drivers come into the pits. I mean, maybe all the Alcontech drivers will just come into the pits as early as possible and try to run to the end of the race by themselves. Work together. They've got enough of them to keep up a good pace by themselves. That could be a possibility. And this is when you need teammates, because if you come in early by yourself, you've got no chance. You've lost the draft. Yeah, like, you're crazy to do that. If you've got teammates, if you've got friends who can help you out, then you can sort of run your own race and maybe beat the rest of the pack.
I tell you what, just to really showcase it with Brown right now, because he's not in that slipstream, and especially when these guys are on the straightaway as well, he is averaging around about 10 to 20 kilometers an hour difference in straight line speed. 12 miles an hour, but yeah, wannabe drivers, Roos, Spetzmüller, Littner's in for RSR as well. The three Hungarians in the Chevrolets dipping in right now. going early. The first drivers to take to the pits. And actually, this could give some of the drivers behind a little bit of a chance. But I tell you, Brown's going to come past them. Could play into Trevor McManus's hands in that number 9 machine. And he could well catch up with these guys. As they're going to be working together to slipstream themselves up and give themselves an ideal opportunity of the win here at Daytona in the season opener, the ARL Truck Series Season 2. As we are still green after 25 laps.
And a reminder that if you want to take part in the action, you can do. Go visit apexracingleague.com. If you go on our news section or in the NASCAR section, you should be able to find the video that we made explaining some of the details about this championship, about some of the changes that we've made, about the format, and of course about the playoff system that we have for this season. So do go to apexracingleague.com. There should be a link below, and that will send you through to details about the championship and how you can sign up. And of course, we also have our F3 championship coming up, which we are going to be broadcasting live from this Apex Racing TV studio, which I am a few feet away right now as I'm broadcasting this race. And that will be super exciting. That's the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 Virtual Racing School Super Series. Both that and the Chuck Series you can sign up to at apexracingleague.com. As the rest of the field are a bit sceptical to come to the pits.
Everyone just sells themselves right now, and lead drivers just starting to encroach up onto McManus right now. Going to get enveloped by this long drag train. And is he going to play a part of the story? He's moved down low. Everyone going to go high around him, but could turn out to be the bit of the perennial mobile chicane right now, Sam. It's going to be interesting to see as we're going free wide on the bank in here at Daytona, and everyone trying to make their way past McManus successfully. It could get a little bit treacherous and a bit hairy now, can't it, Sam?
Yep, we are over halfway now, and so yeah, when do you decide to pit? Everyone's getting a little bit closer now. Even the guys near the back of the pack, I feel like we've got a little bit more 2 wide. We've got a little bit of 3 wide actually, just ahead. Is that going to be a caution there? We've got a car slamming into the wall. That is our first caution, ladies and gentlemen, of the season. And it came at the halfway point of the race. And, well, this could be very good for the drivers who pitted early, because the pit lane will not be open. And so the drivers will have to stay out until the pace car picks them up. They'll do a lap. Then the following lap, the pace car will take the field, and this is very good for these guys. This is good for Roos, Leitner, and Spitzmuller, who will all take the lead of the race. And it's good news as well for Brown. He was still on the lead lap. He was about to go a lap down, actually, so that is fantastic for Brown. Otherwise, he would have been potentially down and out, and McManus will also get a lap back, and I will endeavour to get a replay of that big wreck.
Definitely, and well, interesting drivers to watch out for are the would-be SRT drivers. We're down 21st. There we go. There was a bit of contact and into the wall. Went Crouch, the 72. And oh, wow, he just about managed to miss that. I think was that Gladden who was coming through. Wow, that could have been a lot bigger and a lot worse than what it ended up being. But Crouch, the ultimate victim in paying the price for that one there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find a better angle of that one. Yeah, apologies. I'll try to find it in a second so you can properly see the starting of all of that. But yeah, absolutely a huge wreck. And of course, the drivers do have a faster pair. Just a reminder about that one. And yeah, there will be a lot of drivers using that right now as the circuit.
Just trying to see where it all started off. I think.
So this is Hutchinson, roughly. Hutchinson area. I know we're seeing a lot of cars. Oh, so theirs goes to 3 wide. This is where I thought it might kick off. Oh, there was netcode.
Netcode. Oh, and there we go. The perennial pinball. And that was all off the 9 of Trevor McManus, who they were coming round to lap as pretty much the entire field is in. Staying out, well, Roos, Leitner and Spitzmuller, but They've already pitted, and wow, Sam, that looks like it has been an absolute masterstroke and a bit of ingenuity by the wannabe SRT drivers, because now they find themselves at the front of the field. It could not have worked any better for them.
Yep, that's what they were banking on. That there would be some sorts of instant like that, and it has worked a dream. Also, Euclid decided to did Euclid pit earlier on? I think did.
No, he pitted with everyone else. But he's appearing right now in 4th. It looks like he's had an absolute cracking.
Well, he pitted on lap 20. I think he may have come in when the pit lane was closed.
But sometimes, if he'd got in just before it shut, Sam, because it was around, the time to stop, then if he's done it the pit lane was still open, you couldn't have timed that any more to perfection.
Yeah, him and Gladden. No, yeah, he's got an end of line. So Gladden, yeah, I think they're both going to have to drop to the back. So Gladden's now dropping back himself. And so they pitted on lap 28, the rest pitted on lap 29. And yeah, I think lap 28 was when the pit lane was closed. So that is at least costing Gladden. Euclid is staying in that position for now. So I'm not sure if he's not got the call or whether maybe he was too far, maybe he was behind it. Or...
He's moving to the high line, Sam.
Yeah,
and
he is,
yeah, he's letting people pass and rolling around very slowly right now. So what is actually happening? Right, so the driver has got a EOL penalty, or end of line penalty, and that means they have to drop right to the back of the pack that's on the lead lap. As the driver's starting to form up a bit now into their side-by-side formation. But just as everyone's sorting themselves out in this first cautionary period, I tell you, we've got something very exciting coming up here at Apex Racing TV, and the Apex Racing UK group as a whole. There's going to be a link in the description very shortly. We're holding an open day, and you got a chance to back yourself some free tickets to it. I'll be there, Sam will be there. I know Seb Bosher-Williams, another one of the commentators, he will be there as well, so you get to meet ourselves. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing necessarily, don't want to put you off coming. But also, there will be all the racing team there as well. There'll be competitions, barbecue, and get to see the magic of what happens behind the scene here at Apex Racing TV. We'll look forward to seeing you. Make sure you check that out. There's apexracing.com and head across to the Sim Center Open Day for more information to bag yourself some free tickets. Link is in the description right now. We'll look forward to seeing you then later in the month. But the lights on the safety car are off. Gonna be in this lap. And we will be going green. Once again, it pulls across. Anticipation builds. The revs start to build. As we get ready to go racing once again at Daytona. We are green, green, green. And I tell you what, the wannabe SRT team have played this to perfection. They lock out the Tump 3. And now Roos, Smuller and Littner can start to pull away. Work together, but look at the 64 getting a great run. That's Capel on the inside line and pushing his way through, because that high line is starting to look a bit slower and a bit more risky right now. But as you see there, Littner just starting to pull alongside the 48 of Roos. And, well, that could have, if they hadn't been in control of these two lines, Sam, that would have been a disaster for them in terms of team strategy.
Yeah, we're seeing this so much right now with the team strategy. We didn't really see it in the past two Oval Leagues that we've hosted because we just haven't had that many drivers from the same team. But Alcantech now have got the work to do. I mean, they're currently, well, Gunnarsson is just moving ahead, but he's still in that second row, really. Then you've got Solander, Capel, Blixt. Good pit stop there for Atkinson. He's actually up 11 places from his race start and has sort of got himself in amongst those drivers.
Sam, just seen Littner move down to that low side, which is going to allow Gunnarsson to take control of the high side line. And I'm not sure whether that was the right tactic. I mean, wannabe SRT have now got the top three, three positions in that left low line but it has left themselves a bit vulnerable, and they're not in control of both lines right now. And I'm not sure when Littner moved down from that high side to that low side, was that the best of moves? Because now Alcantech are all pretty much moved up to that high line and are following one behind one another. And you can bet your bottom dollar they're going to be, you know, dragging and pushing themselves along to try and get them past Wannabe right now.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how it turns out. Gunnarsson now up into second position, so he's got good momentum on the outside there. A couple of drivers getting very close to that white line. The white, sorry, it's not a white line, the yellow line. Drivers are not allowed below the yellow line in order to make an overtake, even on the last lap. So do watch out for that in the closing stages in case we have any moves like that. So far the drivers have all been very well managed when it comes to that, and still too wide. But I feel like Gunnarsson is probably going to be able to get his nose ahead by the time they get into turn 1 this time round, as we just have 20 more laps of this race to go. It's almost over. The last 10 is when it really starts to matter. And right now, with 2 teams locking out the top positions, it is going to be hard for other drivers to get in play. But other drivers who are looking dangerous, I mean, Spitzmüller, of course, has dropped down a little bit, but he's Wannabe, so he's in that Alcantech pack. Atkinson's actually had a little bit before restart. He was able to get right in amongst the Alcantech drivers, but unfortunately now he has just dropped back. So Atkinson down to 10th position, still up 9 places from his start, but crucially is going to struggle to make up those places. And then you got the likes of Styx, who's a very accomplished driver, Crouch, Hutchinson, the other EBSR drivers, Mingoat, and also Seriano. But at the moment, still domination by sort of Leitner, Alcantech, and Wannabe.
I tell you what, you saw Capel move up onto the high line to join his teammates up there. That's opened up for the 18 of Atkinson to have a good run down on this low side and bring that low side train along with him. They're all going to pick up a couple of places, but 19 here to go. You can see 2 definitive lines. A few drivers started to move around. A bit of banging doors in the background there as well. We're on board with Atkinson on this low line, who now finds himself moving up through the field. As we come across the line, I think it's time to turn up the noise here at Daytona. Well, I tell you what, Sam, some of those static camera angles, you really get just appreciation of the speed and the noise that these trucks develop. I mean, they're currently running around 314 kilometers an hour right now, which is 195 miles. Oh, in the wall, in the background there. I didn't quite catch who that was, just falling back a little bit. There you go. That was Steve Brown. It was Brown again.
Jeez, he really likes that wall.
He does. The 8 machine. Not going too well for that Chevrolet. I'll tell you what, Campbell, who fallen towards the back of the pack a bit. Bit of a disappointment for him. He's coming down 10 places. Capel, another big loser at the round of pit stops. He's down 11 as well. He's in 12th right now. But he is now in that firm, strong, high-side line of Alcantech drivers. Big winners, as you mentioned, Spitzmüller Atkinson. They're at 13 and 12 places respectively. Also, the other two wannabe SRT drivers of Littner and Roos are first and second in that train on the low side right now. 7 and 8. Also, Redford, you said about him earlier, Sam, and being one to watch out for. He's at 9 places. He's climbed up to 15th right now in the 31 Toyota. Well, he's driving for himself, one of the privateers we've got in the field. We've got 15 to go here at Daytona. And Sam, I get the feeling that maybe, you know, especially once we get down towards that 10 to go mark, some elbows are going to start to come out. What we're seeing in the midfield, oh, 81 into the wall. He's been turned around by the 72, 25, and there's a secondary accident in front of him as well, Sam. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars, 8, 9, 10 involved. That's nearly half the field caught up in that big incident that's brought out the second yellow.
Well, I was just about to say, this is where the drivers will start making their way through, and once again we see it, the drivers start to go 3 wide. And that's when we see the incident. And yeah.
Sam, that's the 64 there of Kapal, who was your pole sitter. And he's, well, heading down to pit row.
That's going to be a penalty, but I guess he's got too much damage to continue. But there's going to be a hole. He's going to get an end of line like we saw earlier on. I
mean, it's one of those things of, do you just take the gamble of getting end of line and just trying to pick through the field? You know, he's got plenty of teammates in front of him. Halfordson, one of his teammates, the Swede, he's down to 16th. And I think maybe it could just be worth that gamble, worth taking potentially for him. Igdid, who we've been singing his praises, he jumped straight to the pits. Likewise, Gladden and Brown, they are in 2 as well. As Kapal heads out, and the pace car has picked up your leader, Lina. Just looking at it from Levery in the 25's machine's point of view. That's where it happened up ahead. See the 15 of Redford there. Sorry, the 31 even of Redford, and he was getting pushed behind by the 72, and that just started to close them up a little bit. All calm down. Everyone sorted themselves out. So they had round turns 3 and 4. This is where it started to happen. The 81, I think, started to come down a bit low, and I think that's what was the catalyst that started it all off, Sam. As we just see them head down the back straightaway.
Yeah, was it Redford going 3 wide there? I think this is going to kick off fairly quick. Oh, they can see the 19. Yeah. So then 19 was Mingoats, and then, sorry, I looked away there, and there was another incident.
Yeah, so Redford then, as he came back down again, then caused a secondary incident. So, wow. Redford the catalyst for 2 different separate incidents there that this has caused so many drivers. I think we had 10 caught up in the end. Here at Daytona in round 1, the ARL Truck Series Season 2.
And everyone should stay out now, because they don't need fuel. We've established that you can go more than half the race on a tank of fuel. We had our last caution, I think, on lap 28, and so everyone will stay out. So the drivers who are involved in that, there's no redemption for them. It's not a case that they can do something smart. They are at the back, and they've got a lot of work to do, and that is Crouch, Campbell, Gladden, Brown, and Euclid, all towing back. Some of them will have fast repairs. Crouch, I think, is... oh, well, he didn't have a fast repair, did he? Wow, that is a cube, and I mean, that is something that Wally would spit out, honestly. That's not looking nice.
I'm trying to see a panel that's not either out of shape or grazed in some way on Campbell's car, and sorry, Crouch's car. I couldn't see one at all, but the lights are out on the pace car. We're going to be going green here at Daytona very shortly, and this has not worked out for the wannabe SRT team, because whereas they had come on that low line, Sam, they've now been separated. And you got Littner in first, but there's then on the high and the low side. So next to him is Gunnarsson of Alcantech, and then Solander is directly behind him. So he's cut away from his teammates. Closest one is Roos, who's on the high line in 4th place, and then just directly behind him is Smits Muller. But this is going to be a fight now between Tactics of Wannabe and Alcantech of who can position their team's cars the best and box in, maneuver, and work themselves away around this one.
Yeah, that's going to be the aim of the game. Oh, it's tricky to tell who's going to win this one, as we knew would be the case. But you feel like it's going to be one of those two teams, don't you? Unless there can be an inspired drive from someone like Atkinson to move his way through. But it is looking very good for those two teams. Leitner going for another championship. It's all about the points, though. You don't get a berth to the showdown just with a race win. They need consistency. What's going to happen?
Let's find out. Pace car is in as we get ready to go. Green, green, green. Here at Daytona as we are away. And Littner, well, he getting the initial jump, but everyone's going to be sucked into the slipstream now. And that gap is just going to instantly disappear. 11 to go. Who will claim the first victory of the season? Two different teams in the top two, holding and controlling those lines right now as well. Down from the top comes Gunnarsson to take the lead, but we're going 3 wide, we're going 4 wide here at Daytona, and this is asking for a bit of trouble. It's going to take a lot of skill, a lot of accuracy for our drivers, but Wannabe have positioned themselves in amazing positions right now.
Here comes
but
Redford.
Look at that, look at the 31 of Redford, theming through the middle there to gain places. It's worked out. You said, Sam, to watch out for him. Could he come from the back? Well, right now he's up into 3rd. And actually, make that even 2nd. Like his nose is just ahead right now of Gunnarsson, and he needs to try and get down to that low line. But we've got 3 wides for the 3 rows. As this, you could throw the perennial blanket over these guys right now, Sam.
Absolutely mega stuff. There was 4 wide for a bit, but Redford, out of absolutely nowhere, he's managed to get himself to the front. Will he get any friends? He's got a few drivers who I think had good relations with in Season 1 during the Truck Series. He needs those friends to help him out right now because he is leading that middle train. Seemingly dropping back is the 35, is that? I'm trying to figure out who that is on the outside at the moment. I think it's Speitzmüller, isn't it, on the outside. He is just getting shuffled down, so that outside line did not work, and they're going to really struggle to move their way back up through the order later on. And so Redford, now with his nose in the lead, he's had a lot of super speedway laps in the past when we've hosted races at Daytona. Usually he's at the front and then he drops down, but the opposite tonight, and that is exactly what he wanted. It's Redford and Reese side by side for the lead. Kittleman, who won in the Xfinity Series here at Daytona, he is P3, and that domination from Alcantech earlier on has been completely decimated.
As Redford moves down to the low line, and he is going to control the pace, and he is exactly where he wants to be right now, despite looking like he's got a load of wood in the bed of his truck due to that livery. He is not being weighed down right now as Toyota, after this race being dominated by the Chevrolets, now occupy 1st and 2nd. Redford and Kittleman. What a turnaround for the books. It looked like it was going to be complete control and domination from Alcantech, who had the top 8 positions for Chevrolet and overall. But now, the highest driver is Gunnarsson, who is down in 5th. He's on that low line, though. He's getting with a bit of a chance, but even so, I'll tell you what, it's not got his team out there to try and help him out and help them progress. This thing's calming down a little bit now. Let's go here at Daytona. Timons, Gladden, Brown, and Eaglid. Disappointing for Eaglid after he was running incredibly strongly. But man is still out there. He had a couple of laps down, but he's up on the back of this pack and still within a chance, picking off places as people get caught up in incidents. And you can start to see a few drivers starting to struggle for grip on that high line right now, Sam. And start to move around a bit.
Yep, there is a little bit of movement, and there's going to be a bit more movement as well when they start bump trotting. Are we going to see 3 wide again? Surely it's only a matter of time. And if they do, then that will be, yeah, super dramatic stuff. And still, Redford is holding on. He has got so much experience, like I said before. Kitzelman trying to push around the outside there. And Roos just wants to really get clear right now. He wants to be able to push Redford far enough ahead. And then ideally, just sweep around the outside of him on the last lap. But at the moment, that is not possible because Kitzelman's got excellent pace right now. It's the 73 of Hutchinson as well. He's up 12 places. Redford, by the way, up 23 places. The field completely on its head as it stands as we go through 2 by 2 still with 6 laps to go. But surely that 3 wide is just a moment away. And, well, I wonder if it'll be someone like Jason Nethery, maybe Norbert Leitner, who will kick it all off.
Clock is ticking down from round 1. The driver's come and lost the line. We're going to be 5 to go. And who is going to pick up that victory? Well, right now, Redford has got himself in that pole position. But, she mentioned Sam earlier in the show. Not quite where you necessarily want to be. Because everyone around you is going to get the run. And if this is anything to go by, with what we've seen across the last 49 laps, Sam, this is going to be a real dogfight right to the line. Albos are going to out. They're not going to be out. They're going to be sharpened as everyone tries to jockey for position and move around. They are coming up on a back.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, here we go.
Sorry, I thought, that's going to be into the wall, surely, for Redford. Or can he keep it out of the wall? We might not even get a caution here. That is an absolute miracle there, and that is a huge shame. I'm not sure if it was his fault. We'll stick with the leaders for now, but it's Kitzelman who now leads, and we've got a spread as well. There's still time for them to bunch up. Oh, now we've got a big wreck, and that will be a caution with 5 to go.
Well, there is a rallycross here at Daytona, but someone would just tell Redford it's not quite there. But wow, what a save from Redford! How did he manage that one, Sam? The car was bouncing across, so his truck was bouncing across the grass and moving around, but somehow Tokyo Drift style kept it out of the wall, being moved into the pits. But was slow.
Yeah, it was a slow up, I think, from Redford's instant in the first
he lost it.
Oh, yeah, so they would have actually got away with it, but then it was Santiago Mingates, who I think has already taken his fast repair, who just got on the apron, wasn't able to hang on to it. Otherwise, they could have all got through that unscathed, I think. He had to go into the pit straight away. He'll get an end of line, but I think he hasn't got any more fast repairs remaining anyway, so that will be the end of his day. And I feel like we might just have 2 more to go after this one. We've got 3 green-white checkers, so we will most likely finish the race under green flag, but with the laps ticking down, I think it's just going to be a 2-lap shootout here. And yeah, Kitzelman currently in the lead, Roos in 2nd place, and Gunnarsson in 3rd. Hutchinson, who I don't think has ever won an oval race, despite being in many of the oval races here in ARL. He's up there in 4th, defending champion Leitner in 5th, and Styx, we haven't really seen all day long. He's up there in 6th position. This field, I mean, it's pretty much got nothing to do with how it started out. As Spitesmuller, he hasn't run out of fuel, has he? Why is he coming into the pits? Or is he banking on a green-white checker, perhaps?
I could well be, Sam. Could be for a fast repair. I did spot there was a slight bit of damage on the left side of his truck. As McManus has got the lucky dog. That isn't going to quite get him back round onto the lead lap. He's still going to be at least 1 lap down. But another green-white checkered, Sam. And potentially, if he gets another lucky dog, he could find himself on the lead lap. And that transforms him for what's been a night of running around at the back, being cut 2 laps down. It's starting to come back in towards him a little bit right now as the pack organises themselves out as of this 3rd yellow cautionary period. There is McManus racing round to catch the rear end of the train for when we go green again. And a bit of a mention, as we mentioned earlier, during the previous caution period, we're holding an open day here at the Apex Racing Group. You can find out more by heading across to the Apex Racing Sim website. Link will be in the description to bag yourself some free tickets to attend. We'll love to see you there. Mentioned previously, many of the commentators, the racing team will be in attendance. Look forward to meeting so many of you. Putting faces to the names. That will be an absolute epic day, and prizes to be won. There's a barbecue. Oh, lots of great fun and enjoyment, Sam.
Yeah, it's going to be a tournament as well, where we've
There
got a
is-
very cool
yeah.
tournament where we're going to have a lot of entries, and we're going to have sort of quarterfinals, semi-finals, and final, with drivers using our virtual racing school rigs, and yeah, it'll gradually get narrowed down. So we have a final 8, and then it'll be a shootout, and whoever wins, I think, gets a pretty neat prize. So. That'll be cool. That's what I'm looking forward to. Unfortunately, I'll be helping organising that rather than racing in it, so it'll be a fair bit more stressful for myself. But hopefully, it should be a lot of fun for everyone. Also, a quick shout out to one of our sponsors, SDK Gaming, because they provide our overlay. You can see up on screen. We could not do these broadcasts without SDK Gaming. It is so useful organising, getting replays. And of course, just showing all the information up on screen. You've got the fantastic driver information app, which allows us to display kind of profile pictures of many of the drivers out on circuit. Expect to see that be used more as the season goes on in this championship. We'll try to show you lots of those mug shots whenever we can. And yeah, of course, our cameras are synced using some very fancy software. We've got live timing, and also great for a heads-up display. Does so much SDK Gaming, and there's constantly being updates released to address the community's kind of wishes. So do check out sdk-gaming.co.uk for more details. As we have got just, I think it's 3 more laps to go right now. I'm trying to figure it out myself here, Tim, but it's saying 3 more laps to go. I think it's 2 more laps to go once we get to the line.
It is indeed for green, white, checkered, and to end there with SDK Gaming, Sam. There's also a free 14-day trial. As the pace car pulls in, we get ready to go racing once again. We're going green here at Daytona. The shootout begins. Who's going to take victory? As Kittelman leads the pack away. The speed builds. The anticipation builds, the nerves, the drama, the excitement, the noise is all building here. As look at the run Gunnarson's got from behind, flipstreaking his way and slingshotting himself into the lead, and Kittelman getting enveloped and evoked into that packet right now. The 11th falls down to Fears.
Another caution. Green, white checker.
Oh,
that was Hutchinson storming round the outside.
I tell you what, Kittelman. Right place, right time there. Lost those places, and it's worked out a treat for him. He's going to be right in the mix and in the fight still. Ruse has got back up into the lead for wannabe SRT, but we had, well, quite a few involved in that one. Wow, Sam. Wow. We knew it might get a bit tasty. Everyone's starting to jockey around for position. She said that high line. What a run those guys got. They came through like a freight train.
Yeah, we'll try to get a replay of how it all happens. Here is Hutchinson. That was how close it was at the start. And here's the chopper. So he just got an absolutely epic launch around the outside. Of course, was willing to make it through wide. He was going to go for it. And what I'm interested in, who came up on him? And I think Hutchinson had earned himself some space here on the outside. No, oh, was that Kittelman then? Was it Kittelman?
No, it's a 33, Sam, I believe.
Oh, so Gunnarsson.
Sorry, 53. Yes.
So Gunnarsson just came up, didn't he? Hutchinson was McHutchinson was alongside, but well, that seems fairly slam dunk, and I'm sure a lot of drivers will be frustrated with that.
Not all is lost though. I'm still got another. Wow. We've got this green, white checkered, another one to go after that as well. As into the pits come Skylar Atkinson, Blixt.
Oh, you can't even make it.
Letner.
Hasn't run out of fuel, has he? They will be pushing it on fuel, I think, with these extra laps.
Well, this is what invokes another bit of tactics into it, Sam, because those drivers that maybe fueled a little bit shorter to try and get themselves some crack position could now be biting them where it hurts in the proverbials. McManus has got another lucky dog, so he's going to move back round. He is now 1 lap behind the pace. If we have another green-white checkered, Sam, he will get another lucky dog, and that will bring him back onto the lead lap. I mean, what a comeback from McManus. He's just, I mean, he's been picking his way through the field due to, yeah, cautions and the collisions during of course, those cautions. Now up to 18th, and from dead last, I mean, to pick up those places, doing well. He's up 7, started dead last in qualifying, but the Indy Autosport driver in the number 9 Chevrolet is onto an absolute cracker. You see Gladden. I'd say it's a collection of bruised and battered body panels on those trucks in the pit row right now.
Yes. They're pretty beat up. We've still got, is it 14 on the lead lap? Blakesy now leaving the pit lane, so he'll catch up to the back. Crouch also leaving the pit lane. Is he on the lead lap? He is. Has he got all that damage fixed? He hasn't. Nethery also behind him. That car looks pretty clean for Nethery. McManus, of course, coming round. Still a lap down. I think that'll be it. I think everyone else will be staying in the pits.
Nethery, his right side was still pretty scuffed up, Sam. I mean, nothing too much to affect. There we go. We look at Nethery. Yeah, you can see that front right corner damage. That's going to affect the aerodynamicness of that truck. I mean, there's a bit of a rhetorical moment in that because trucks aren't exactly the most aero-efficient vehicles in the world. But, I mean, that's not going to be helping his top speed whatsoever in the run to the line. Also, the truck in front of him as well, looking pretty grey, bruised and battered, which is the 72 of Crouch.
So Hutchinson's still in it then. Did Hutchinson have to make another pit stop? No, he didn't. I think Campbell and Redford, I think they pitted under the previous one, didn't they? Could Redford win this race? He still hasn't used his faster pair, I think. Well, he probably did under the last caution.
Well, no, he didn't need to because he just, I mean,
he came into the pit, so I assume he did. Although he was stationary for 23 seconds, so maybe he was, I don't know, taking some tyres. I guess he was at the back anyway, so he just thought, oh, I may as well take some knee tyres whilst I'm at it.
Yeah, just gamble on it. But back up into the fight is Redford. Up into 6th after leading before caution 2 was thrown, and of course he's nudged off and a collision for the lead. We get ready to go racing once again. Lights out on the pace car. It's going to be pulling in. We will be going green at Daytona as we come out of turns 3 and 4. And who is going to claim the victory? First one of the season. Roos in control of the pace for Wannabe SRT as we are green, green, green once again. I tell you what, was Gunnarsson first across the line there, Sam?
I have to admit, I looked away slightly there, but yeah, that is certainly a possibility, and he would get a black flag if that is the case. But it hasn't paid too much attention. Oh, dear, that is Redford round once again. And apologies, it was Styx, wasn't it? But is that going to be a caution? I think Styx has kept it in going, but now he's stopping. And so I'm not quite sure what's going to happen now, because we can't stay green if that car is stationary, and he is absolutely scampering along there. We'll see what happens, but this could be very dangerous if a caution is not thrown by iRacing right here. Oh, there's more contact between the top two now. It's properly fifths out now. Roos, who has won several races in these Oval Series in the past, he's going for his 6th one right here. We've got a car going into the pits. That's Gunnarsson, so he did pass right there. It's a black flag on the last lap of the race. Mark Redford still trying to take the race win. We've got Kitzman involved. We've got Roos involved, and it looks like Roos and Kitzman have taken the pole position on this final lap.
We are white flag in the air, 1 lap left to go, one more chance to make up places here from Daytona, the ARL Truck Series, round 1 of season 2. Kitzman is pushing Roos along now, but look at Redford in that 31 machine, starting to make progress. Chevrolet leading Toyota, second and third, but look at the 27 as Redford goes high, nearly nudges into the 27 there, and Matt Campbell, where has he come from as he gets a nudge from behind, and there's a big incident, Redford's into the wall, he's upside down, but there's a race to the line, Ruse, Kilman, side by side, who's going to take the victory? They make collision, and Ruse gets it at the line over Kittelman by 0.02 of a second.
Schnabel
Wow.
in third position out of nowhere. Leitner managed to get himself all the way back up to fourth position after late issues. Blakesley in fifth, and Hutchinson, after misfortune when he was about to take the lead, rounds out the top 6. But this man, Andrew Roos, well, that is another race win. He managed to take 3 race wins in the B-Class Championship we hosted. He also took 2 race wins in the Truck Series. In fact, he won the last Truck Series race that we hosted back at Phoenix a year ago. He is one of the favourites for the championship, maybe the favourites, and he was not necessarily at the front right at the start, was he? But that early pit stop, it put him in contention, and from then on he just avoided the incidents, and he rounds out the winner in the end. Kitzman so close to back-to-back Daytona victories, but Roos could not be denied.
I mean, Schnabel, where did he come from? He really benefited from that collisions behind him because the 88 was running around about 8th place. Coming on to the start of the final lap as the donuts begin for Roos in the 48 of wannabe SRT out on the start-finish line. Wow. What a race, and what a way to kickstart the championship. Another classic from Daytona. And so much to try and unpack there, Sam. I mean, there was so much going on in that final lap. It'd be great to see it all over again and try and relive it and try and work out exactly where the Schnabel came from. I mean, we had that big collision. Redford, the big loser in all of that, ending up into the catch fence. And cars all around him spinning left, right, and centre. And it just all what looked like it was going to be a dominant performance from Alcantara. Just all fell apart from him. This is on board with Schnabel. Surrounding, that's the 95 above him of Blix, who ended up finishing down in 13th. He's got a good run on the outside as Blix. And then Redford, I think he just moves up high. There we go, to get into some clean air. And doesn't expect Blick to be on the outside of him, I don't think. And
oh no,
there
it's the
you go.
inside, wasn't it?
Yeah, the 27 of Campbell, I think it was.
He was very slow to the line. What was going on with Campbell? He didn't run out of fuel. He was, I mean, I guess he just lost kind of momentum there, but... Or did he...
He's run out of fuel, I think, Sam.
Did he run out of fuel?
That sounds like that. That's chugging.
It's certainly chugging, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the contact wasn't too big, so it wouldn't have been like an engine blow up or anything. I wonder if that contributed to his slide, if he suddenly, you know, had a spike in power. Yeah, I mean, thing's got nothing in it. You're absolutely right. So, wow. It was tight on fuel.
Wow.
Didn't run out of fuel, though. He was burning it out for about a minute afterwards.
And I think for Campbell, that's just... I mean, that explains why. I mean, but then, see, where you said, you know, he ran out of fuel there, Sam. That was the catalyst for everything happening around him. And, I mean, even if he hadn't have made the contact, I think it would have come anyway with some of the cars behind because... I mean, he would have been going incredibly slowly, and then all of a sudden they would have caught up onto the back of him. It just would have been a rolling roadblock, but... Wow, what a race. Let's take you through the Class 5 results here from Race 1. Roos takes it from Kittelman by 0.02 of a second at the line. Lennart Schnabel comes home in third. Make it 2 Chevrolets. In the podium positions, was Kittelman, the lone Toyota there. What looked like it was going to be a bad day for Toyota in the end. Grand place on the podium. Leitner in fourth with Blakesley in the end, finishing up in fifth, and Hutchinson climbing 10 places to come home in sixth. Then it was Zalander in seventh, Capel. Those two running strong in the early stages, but in the end, they finished 7th and 8th respectively. Matt Campbell, as you saw, Canadian just running out of fuel there, comes home 9th respects. Muller being up in the top 3 after great strategy early on from wannabe SRT, finishing 10th. And then we have Crouch in 11th, Nevery 12th, Blix in the end 13th, Halfordson 14th, Styx 15th. And then last car on the lead lap was Jonas Gunnarsson, who rolls home in 16th. Redford tied in the end into the catch facing into that last green-white checkered. Could have even potentially picked up a victory. Still finishes 7th place. Is up likewise. Just Trevor McManus. Those two coming from the back of the grid. McManus still running, but a lap down. Atkinson, 19th with Solo, running at top 20. These into retirements. We lost Solo all the way back on lap 55. Last 50, we saw the retirement of Minho and Sariano. And on lap 40, we lost Gladden, Brown, and Euclid. Ran out your 25 car grid. Let's have a bit of a chat to some of our drivers here waiting by to have a bit of a chat to us. First off, let's take a moment to have a chat to our race victor, Andrew Roos of Wannabe SRT. What a race from you, and what an inspired piece of strategy from your driver, your team, because that early pit stop really set you guys up for the second half of the race.
Yeah, thank you guys. That was just pure luck, because I was looking at my cups and the pit signal just light up, and I'm saying to the guys, can we go faster than the whole field, because we were like doing 50 something laps, and I remember when we pushed together and drafted, we were doing like 48 something. And I'm like, we can do this, the three of us, and that put us in the front of the field. And yeah, after that happened some things, but still that strategy was the one that put us in front of the field.
I mean, that race line between yourself and Kevin Kittleman, I mean, that was so close. Were you nervous that you were going to end up finishing second potentially?
Yeah, maybe, but you know, with the playoff system and the points, I was like, okay, just one thing. It's good that I won Daytona. Of course, I'm happy, but the one thing that I was praying for, that I don't go at the back of the field, because that could be a bad points day for us. So I was like, okay, if Kevin pushes me out here or wrecks me, still I can go through in the top 10. So seriously, guys, seriously, I was just thinking about the points. But you know, it's really good to win Daytona. I honestly never won at Daytona, not official race, not league race. So that's my first win at Daytona.
I mean, we were just watching the replay of the finish right now. You crossed the line sideways to take the victory. I mean, that's definitely one way to do it in style, certainly. Andrew, before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to us all?
Yeah, thank you for my team. You know, Norbert is in another team this year, but we still work together, and our strategy worked thanks to them. So I thank him and Richard for this.
Definitely, that's Andrew Roos, your race victor here today from Daytona. Sam, I believe you're standing by with another one of our drivers to have a bit of a chat with.
Yeah, let's drag up Kevin Kitzelman. Great to see him back in the series again and back on Apex Racing TV. Congratulations there, Kevin. That is another podium at Daytona, but boy, was it close to back-to-back victories. How does this feel? Because I mean, at least whenever I drive Opals, basically, I always think whenever I don't win, which is very rarely, I always think, oh, I could have won that maybe. You must feel that a bit, but at the same time, I don't think you were, as high as second place for the vast majority of the race.
Yeah, of course, I'm gutted, Sam, but on the same time, I'm extremely happy because I was able to put the truck out front again, at least in the end there. Yeah, my heart, to be honest, is still beating so fast because I was pushing Andrew because I knew we had the new Alcon guys behind us who tried something. So, and my teammates unfortunately got caught up in a wreck, so I knew I had to work together with Andrew to break free from the group behind us. at least till the last lap, last turn. I tried everything against Andrew, but that guy was just too strong. Yeah, but still happy in the end.
Of course, you've raced against kind of Andrew before, you've raced against Norbert before as well, and Mark Hutchinson. Is it slightly different racing against those guys from, after last year compared to some of these newbies?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because after we did I don't know, a few leagues already together, especially on the oval side. So you kind of know how those guys are racing and how they perform. So yeah, it was interesting to see how they would perform against the other guys. Also interesting to see the new guys, how they, what moves they got. But yeah, in the end, it was quite interesting. It was great to be back with all of the other guys, some familiar faces, and I'm really looking forward to the next rounds.
Absolutely. And what do you think about the playoff format this season? Do you think that's going to affect the way that you approach these races?
I would say so, yeah. Because it adds a whole nother dimension and level to the whole series, to the whole racing. So I think it affects the racing overall, not only from the guys that have been in the series beforehand, but also to the new guys, and it's going to be quite interesting, I think. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Awesome. Well, thanks for jumping in and having a chat with us, Kevin. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, always. Of course, to my team in the Autosport, to our partners, Lunatic, Sim Thunder, Martin Sports, and my teammates, especially Jason and Mark, who helped me push and make it 3 wide there towards the end, which even got me in a position to fight for a win in the end. So big shout out to those 2 guys. And yeah, great to be back in the league. So shout out to you guys for making this possible. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Kevin. And yeah, best of luck for next round.
Thank you.
Kevin Kitzelman there, your runner-up tonight, and 2-time amateur champion in the Apex Racing League NASCAR series, the B class and the C class we've hosted in the past. It's almost as though the admins don't know what they're doing. Over to you, Tim.
No worries at all, Sam. Now I managed to grab Lennart Schnabel, your third place finisher here today for Alcantech. Well, Lennart, I mean, it was complete dominance from your team in the early stages, but after that first caution period, you all got separated. Didn't quite work out for you, but coming onto that final lap, I mean, wow, talk about being in the right place at the right time. I mean, everyone started wrecking in front of you. Was it just, keep your foot into the floor, hope and pray that you managed to find a bit of a channel to get yourself through and out the other side?
To be honest, I don't have too much oval experience, so I just thought, yeah, just go to the line and we'll see. I was a bit unlucky after the first caution. We tried something that obviously didn't work out, but then starting back from 13th or 10th, I don't know, going to P3 in the last run, I mean, to be honest, I don't know what to say. I'm a bit speechless. I was extremely lucky during the whole race. I got hit once, so it was extremely lucky. Unfortunate, but I'm super happy to get a P3 in.
Definitely, it was. There's so much about ovals, though, isn't it? It's just being in the right place at the right time. Lennart, I mean, I fully let you go and give you a chance to go and try and work out what actually happened out there and how you came away with a place on the podium. Anyone you want to give a shout out to at all?
Yeah, a shout out to my team. I think we did pretty well the whole race except for the last run. Then to my parents and to you guys, thank you for the stream. And probably see you next week.
Oh, definitely. We'll look forward to seeing then as Lennart Schnabel, who picked up 3rd place here today for Chevrolet and Alcantech at HR. Well, Sam, what a crazy race and what a way to kickstart the season. Going on with just bringing things to a close here right now. What's going on the other side? We've got we've got the SRF Weekend Warriors. They're about halfway through their race. Aeronom's not long taken the lead in that one. They are last round of the season for them from Sebring, and just getting away right now. Austin and Seb are live in the commentary booth for IGP Fun F3 from Silverstone. That's another big grid, a big action series. Two of them kicking off right now here on Apex Racing TV. But wow, what a way to start the season here at Daytona from the ARL Truck Series Season 2. Ruse in the end. Brilliant strategy from his team, Wannabe SRT, that got them the victory. Just a quick reminder as well, if you want to pick yourselves up some free tickets to attend the Apex Racing Centre for our open day, you can do so by following the link that is in the chat right now. And you get to meet all of us here at Apex Racing TV. There's competitions, prizes, a barbecue, and much more. So make sure you check that out. But from myself, Tim Cox, and Sam Fitzpatrick, we'll see you in a week's time when we will be live from Michigan.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.